Well, hi again, Links players. It's good to be back with you. It's good to have Tracy Hanson back here with us and to be able to spend some time with you again this week.
It's always good to be back.
It is. And we've been talking about how you relate to Jesus in your life. And one of the things that we've talked about is how relationships, sometimes that word can make some people nervous. And today, I'm sorry, but the topic is maybe the most that way in terms of how people feel like, because we're going to talk about relating to Jesus as those who love him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been probably a right concern in recent years about this idea sometimes that, well, Jesus is my boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and and so people get nervous and like, oh, that's not the kind of relationship we're talking about. No, it's not the kind of relationship we're talking about, because love is more well-rounded than that.
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk about, maybe to help set this up, a little bit about golf and how sometimes, we say people get the golf bug, which really means they fall in love with the game pretty quickly, and then that love gets tested, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think either new golfers, people who want to learn golf quickly, or maybe you just got a new lesson and you want to get out there and practice, and there's a lot of enthusiasm to be on the practice range, to practice your putting, to get on the golf course. But golf is a hard game.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of time, and that enthusiasm can wane very quickly. So then, if you really want to be committed to the game to get better, are you willing to keep practicing when it gets hard?
Yeah. This sounds like marriage to me.
I want to know I'm still single.
I understand. But you have a lot of married
Yeah.
friends, and you recognize that trajectory,
Yep.
that there's a lot of enthusiasm in the beginning, but what love requires in the long run is a real stick-to-itiveness.
Right.
But part of that stick-to-itiveness is driven by a remembrance of that enthusiasm in the beginning.
Yeah.
Jesus was anointed in the week before his death by a woman who came and poured out perfume on him and wept and wiped his feet with her hair and all this. And everybody's sitting around and was like, what is going on? And he said, the one who has been forgiven little loves little, and the one who's been forgiven much loves much.
Yeah.
So she was looking back and saying, this is what Jesus has done for me. I'm going over the top with my expression of love.
Yeah. I mean, she gave him everything that day.
Yeah.
The anointment that came out of that jar was expensive, and she was most likely not one that had a lot of wealth. But to even just give her tears, to sit at his feet, I mean, that's an obedience. That's as a woman, a sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely a sacrifice. What about our expressions of love? Are there ways that we can express our love to God? What does that look like?
I think choosing time with them. Like, we get busy, we get walking through our day, and whether it's tasks or taking care of other people, and it's really easy not to even give him a moment of our thoughts or our praise or our prayers, to ask him for what we need or to help us. So I think time and attention kind of just, for me, I just kind of think God's with me all the time, and it may not be, I don't necessarily sit down for 30 minutes just with him. I just try to be with him all day.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's that combination, because God obviously puts us in places in our lives where sometimes we're going to be distracted. He's given us a job to help supply for our family or things like that. And so sometimes when you're focused on your job, focusing on Jesus doesn't work. But like every other relationship, you're right, we have to set aside time, or it doesn't look like we really care for the other person.
Right.
Yeah. And then as often as possible, we remember anyway, the number of people that we know who have a picture of their family on their desk at work. So they're always, even though they're concentrating on their work, there's an opportunity to be reminded of what the priority is in their life. And that's what love looks like with Jesus too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being with us, and we will be back with you a week from now.